Here's a little thought experiment, or perhaps not so much a thought experiment, but a perception experiment, or an experiential inquiry. Just follow along in your own experience and see where it leads you. And by the way, I'm not trying to lead you to a conclusion or a new way of thinking or some aha moment about the way things are. Ultimately, I'm leading you into a purely experiential insight. A purely experiential insight, meaning the experience is so real and clear that there's no need to think about it, conclude anything about it, describe it to yourself or others. You can just plunge right into that full experience. That's all this is really doing. The question is, can you really find an edge without thinking about it? We think of things in terms of here and there, present and future. But do you ever really see an edge between, or an edge of, the present? Do you see a boundary between the present and the future? Have you ever noticed that edge where you leave the present? Have you ever noticed an edge of here versus there? The mind tells stories all day long. I'm here and I'm going to get there. Later on, I'll be there. But do you ever really find an edge to here? Do you ever find the moment when here becomes there? And if you don't, what does that imply? Maybe there is no here and there at all, and never has been. So what's being pointed to now is a reality that is just not defined by dimension. It's not defined by self and other. Not defined by subject and object, because all of those are concepts. This doesn't have to be a heady philosophical discussion. It's just a pointing that we never really find where the self becomes the other, or where here becomes there, or the present becomes the future. Of course we don't. Because there's no distinction between here and there. There's no distinction between present and future, or past and present, until we make one with the mind. And as soon as we make a distinction between past and present, then past and present become real. We actually believe in them. So I'm not really saying that there is only the present and the past and the future are illusions, as I'm saying that past, present, and future are all illusions. There's just this, and this could even be a concept. The word this, or the idea of this as opposed to that. That doesn't exist either. And then the mind will conclude, well, then are you saying nothing exists? I'm not saying that. That's another thought, another belief, another conclusion. So then there's neither something or everything, nor is there nothing. Why? Both are conclusions. So where does it leave you? Where does that leave things? Where does that leave reality? Well, it's indefinable, indescribable, and yet you're not apart from it. Nothing's apart from anything. How could it be? In fact, it's so simple that language can't describe it. Our mind likes to imagine things as complex, so it would think that what I'm talking about is too complex somehow, or too mystical, or too, obscure to be described. But it's not. It's actually too simple to be described. That's the funny thing about it. It's so simple. What's so simple that you can't even divide it into past and present? What's so simple that you can't divide it into here or there? What is so simple you can't divide it into me or you? What is so simple that no label touches it at all? The idea of any label or way of being simply complicates it, and thus obscures it, calling it something, awareness, calling it consciousness, calling it awakening, calling it enlightenment, calling it suffering. This is so simple. It's like I've pointed to it for 4 years or however long it's been, and I pointed to it in a 130,000 word book, and still the words are so slippery because it's just so damn simple. It's so fucking simple. You're it, without a you and without an it. You're not going to get to it. Because even the get to it is it, the idea of getting to it, the feeling of getting to it. But, yeah, none of these ways of pointing really do it full justice. And yet, it can be realized. That's the funny thing. And it can be lived. So, it's certainly not about discovering anything new. Because that's not going to happen. It's not really about forgetting anything. Really, because there's nothing to forget. It's more about looking really closely at what's happening. It's more about being willing to let go of the need to hold a certain view. Any kind of view at all, including a spiritual view. What happens when that stops occurring, seemingly, that the holding on to a view? There's only one way to find out. It's so damn simple, and yet its very simplicity is what makes it seem obscure. Maybe we could talk about it as addiction to concept. Because it really, in practical terms, that's about the clearest thing I can say about this being a process. It is a process of disidentifying from concepts in every way. Every aspect of identification, disidentifying, and every kind of concept, disidentifying with it. Again, including spiritual concepts. Including concepts that were formed based on your own experiences, your own insights, your own realization. All of it. At some point just has to go down the drain. And what's remaining will be the unconditioned. That's maybe the best word I can even put to it. Fits really nicely. The unconditioned. It's unconditioned by mind, concepts, beliefs, illusions, contractions, dissociations, which are all just certain kinds of relationship with thought, really. So free of all that, not conditioned by any of it, not conditioned by anything, not conditioned by a view, not conditioned by expectations. Those are big. Expectations. Not conditioned by your comfort. Or not conditioned by taking comfort from illusions. It's the unconditioned. It's right here. You feel it? I don't want to say you are it, or because identifying as a seeming act, as a tendency, probably is, if I could say there's a fundamental problem that obscures this, it's that. It's the act of identifying. and the perception that something needs to be done about this in any way at all. Anything needs to be changed about it, fixed, even understood, clarified. What happens when all that stops? All those activities cease. Yeah, it's the word from traditional Buddhism, cessation. It's a good word. But it's not an event that's going to happen to someone. It's always happening.